Rucker Man.
and Sean, breaking through the noise, serving real talk, the genuine choice. No pretense, no hidden schemes, just sports, passion, fueling dreams. From the field to the court, every play that's made, real takes over fake debates. Turn it up, hear the honest sound, unfiltered sports all year round. Discussions pure, no masquerade, real takes over fake debates. Turn it up. Over fake debates. Real takes over fake debates. Real takes over fake debates.
And we are live. Sbtalksports Sean Webb, real takes over fake debates. It is Friday. What's going on, Sean? How you doing?
Doing good, SB. Happy Friday to you. Happy Friday to everyone out there. Thank you for taking some time to watch, listen, enjoy real takes over fake debates on all platforms.
Yeah, I'm sorry, TikTok. I was trying to fix the live. I don't know what's going on in the audio, and I can't fix it. So sorry, anybody who's going to watch on TikTok live, you got to come to the YouTube to watch us. Having audio issues on TikTok right now, so we're gonna shut that down. But yes, shout out to everybody listening to us on any and every platform from YouTube, TikTok. Shout out to y'all commenting on the real, Apple, Spotify, iHeartMedia. Make sure you guys follow, subscribe. But Sean, we got to get right into it, man. I want to get right into the show. We got a lot to talk about. We got to talk about this NBA trade deadline coming up. We dropped our All-Star predictions. We dropped it on the post feed. So make sure you guys comment below on the post feed about me and Sean NBA All-Star reserve predictions, which we're still going to go over during this show. We also got to talk about some NFL coaching hires. But we got to go start. Let's start at NBA. Let's get it off right. Jimmy Butler has been suspended again, Sean. Yes, again, like they say in the Boondocks. If you know Boondocks, you know. Now he's suspended for 2 games for allegedly missing a team flight. Spoelstra addressed the media and said pretty much told everybody to get over it. Is this heating up the trade? Heat up the trade for Jimmy Butler, or is Jimmy Butler just being a diva and it won't help him get out?
I think the trade market was always hot once they made it clear that they were going to listen to offers for Jimmy Butler. Mm-hmm. I think where 2 things to always consider. Everybody looks at it from the perspective, and you have the Kendrick Perkins of the world who say, you know, the Heat need to get rid of Jimmy Butler immediately and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's not how this works. The Heat have to get value back for Jimmy Butler because Jimmy Butler is valuable.
Yes.
So it's important to remember that there's multiple sides of this. It's not going to be a 2-team trade. We're probably going to take, again, 3, 4, maybe even upwards of 5 teams to make it happen just because of the amount of the contracts and all the moving parts that it may take to make this happen. But Eric Spoelstra is right. This comes with the territory of the unpredictability of the NBA. And they're not going to cancel the games. They're not going to say, hey, let's pause the schedule until the Heat get this situation worked out. So, what is he supposed to say? It's a very, I'll say Heat thing. I'll say Mike Tomlin thing. Get over it. Get over it. Like, you still got to show up. You still got to be ready to play. Get over it. And I think that's all he's saying, is that we're focused on, what we can control right now, which is getting ready to play games. And what will happen with Jimmy Butler will happen with Jimmy Butler. Now, I also believe, I think Jimmy Butler's played his last game in a Heat uniform. I don't think after this 2-game suspension that Jimmy Butler will be back with the team. I think it'll be mutually decided that they'll stay away until they're able to figure out February 6th. I cannot see him coming back after being suspended twice in a month for contract conduct detrimental to the team. So my belief is that he's played his last game in a Heat uniform.
For me, with Jimmy, right, I think if you want to get traded, the best way to get traded is not sure that you will be a deal with the team, because then people will be scared to touch you or to get you to come to their team and touch your contract. Bad enough with that, then they're scared to trade for you because they think, hey, if you come over here, would you ruin what we got going on? Then 2, you got to play better. If you play better, that's how you get that's how you get traded. It make it easier, because I know a lot of trades and stuff was going on, a lot of teams that was involved possibly could be involved, but Jimmy is not making it no easier to trade him. Eric Spoelstra is doing the right thing by letting it known in the media and letting it known with his team. Hey, next man up. Y'all need to get over it. It's part of the NBA. It's part of the drama. We still got a game. The game still got to be played. For Jimmy's point of view, you need to be just doing whatever you can do to get up out of here, because it's not like you only met about a contract. It's not like you felt like you was just disrespected or they was like doing some wild stuff behind the scenes. Maybe we don't know yet. Then I understand why you're ready to crash out, act like that. But if it's just your contract, play your contract, and then when the golf season come, hey, I'm out. I would at his age, I wouldn't turn down $50 million. I think he's crazy, but that's just me. Now we got to look at the reality of the fact of, like, how can a trade possibly happen, Sean? And I had to move something around real quick. I had it in the wrong order earlier. And it's a possibility for it to happen, because you did say one thing. It's going to take more than one team to just get Jimmy Butler. And also, with a lot of things, people got to understand is that the Heat don't just want Bradley Beal. I'm going to just say it straightforward. The Heat don't. As much as y'all want to just say Bradley Beal for Jimmy Butler straight up, they don't want that. And a lot of Heat fans don't want that. And I guarantee you Pat Riley don't want that, because I get Pat Riley wants a better end of the deal. So, Sean, come to find out, the Milwaukee Bucks have just pretty much openly said Middleton, Portis, Pat Connaughton is available for trade. I still think the Bucks are hurting from letting go Drew Holiday, especially if you're going to bring a guy like Dame over. And I know how much Giannis loved Chris Middleton, because they built it from the ground up, and that's supposed to be like his Scotty. But if you're going to bring a guy like Dame over, you don't need Chris Middleton. I'm sorry. You can go get another 3-and-D forward to play his spot. Keep Drew Holiday, the Swiss Army knife, and then now Dame can play his role, and you got somebody who can cover for Dame defensively. But we're not going to cry with spilled milk. Here go a possible trade scenario. Then I also want to know what you think about the Bucks having all these people on the trade blocks and who you think should go for these players. But this was from a Bulls thing, so take it with a grain of salt. I doubt this highly happened, and I don't want it to happen, because we don't need Bradley Beal unless we finna sign and trade him. But the trade will involve 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams, Sean. It would be Bradley Beal, and it don't say the pick from what team, but a 2027 first-round pick. That's what the Bulls would get. The Suns would get Jimmy Butler and Wright. I'm trying to see what Wright that is. I don't know off the top of the head. It's just the last name. But the Heat will get Dunn, Middleton, Portis, 2029 first, and a 2031 pick swap. The Bucks get Zach LaVine, the Wizards get Bouchamp, and a 2031 second round pick. Do you think that is a good trade? Or would you accept?
That's a lot of moving parts.
It is.
I'm only going to speak on it just very high level because I would have to look at terms of the contract details, all those things before I got into depth.
Mm.
If those teams are getting what they want out of that trade in terms of assets, and the assets being picks, expiring contracts, depending on how they're looking at their books going into the future, a lot of times when these teams make these trades, people will say, oh, that player doesn't help them, and it doesn't. It's not the player, it's the contract.
The contract,
so from the contract perspective, are they getting what they want in terms of money that'll be coming off the books, maybe this offseason, maybe next offseason? This new CBA, I think, again, makes it very, very difficult to, just take on money like you once did, because, again, we talk about when you're in the first apron, the second apron, the restrictions that come with being in those spaces. For me, the only team that would seemingly be getting what they want out of this deal right now is Phoenix getting Butler.
Because I'm saying, as you as a Heat fan, would you be happy with Dunn, Middleton, Bobby Portis, and 2 first-round picks for Jimmy Butler?
Not really. Not really. But again, to me, it comes down to, again, I know Middleton, I think, is an expiring contract after next season. So it's, are you keeping your books clean for what you're looking to do in a year or two for all these teams? So, and again, I don't want to get too in depth. That's because, again, I haven't had a chance to look at all of those players' contracts and those situations. It would just seem right now the only team that be getting absolutely what they want to help them today is Jimmy Butler going to Phoenix. I don't see how those other moves help those teams today, but it doesn't mean that they don't help them in the future in terms of, again, expiring contracts, picks as assets, the ability to flip those expiring contracts and picks for other players. So that, to me, is what it comes down to. It's a lot of moving parts, as you mentioned, and you got to have a lot of teams on board to make it happen. And it's not easy to do 5 and 16 trades because there's so many moving parts and so many parties involved.
Now, before I seen this other trade to tell me what you accepted. This one is like, but I highly doubt it happened. That's Jimmy going to the Nuggets, but we're gonna talk about it in a second. But with these names being involved, maybe a Middleton, a Bobby Portis, a Pat Connaughton, which team you see that should be probably calling Milwaukee to get one of these players who could probably fill a void? If you had to think off the top of your head.
Yeah, I mean, it's because I mean, nothing against any of these guys. I think any of these guys could help a team. The question with Middleton is how much does he have left? He's kind of a shell of himself, to be honest. And I know he's at about $34 million a season, roughly. So, I just don't know what you get from Middleton at this point consistently. There's nights where he looks like Chris Middleton, and then there's nights where it looks like, I don't know how much he has left. Portis, obviously, I think he can help any team just because of the way he plays, and Connaughton as a shooter, as a guy who doesn't necessarily need heavy minutes in the rotation, can always help somebody. To say which team, I think I'd be hard pressed to pick, a team, because I think the teams that we're looking at pretty much at every level kind of like what they have. When you talk about Boston and Cleveland and New York and OKC and Houston and, Dallas and Memphis, maybe Memphis, I think could, use, and again, I'm going to say Middleton just because, again, he's a veteran, he helps them on the wing, but again, how much does he have left? So, it's really, really hard to say. I know you threw that at me off top.
I just thought about looking at the trade machine. Sorry about that, because I'm sitting here thinking, like, only person that I could really like see that, like, if I was a team, and I'm just thinking like quick off top of the head of who I could possibly. One is Bobby Portis, for a good solid rebounding 4 big. He get up and down the floor, and he can space the floor too. and he's a solid defender. If I'm like the Lakers, or which we're gonna get into in this next story too, or like the Warriors, I'll be trying, especially like the Warriors, I'll be trying to get Bobby Portis. I'm not gonna lie. I think Bobby Portis will fit nicely like with those teams. Like it's harder to meet with like Chris Middleton. I don't have nothing off top of the head right now for Chris Middleton. Like the only team that you could think of who need another shot creator is like the Grizzlies, like you brought up. And Pat Connaughton is just like another shooting guy. You could probably fill him in with any team. So, but I think if you are close to contending or you need help in the big department, Bobby Portis should be a guy that you want to call. But yeah, Sean. So you know that sometimes people be making these trade machine trades. I want to show you one because I just looked up the scene. I wanted to show you. I'll just, as the Heat fan, I want to know, would you approve this trade? Where's the screen share button? Right here, share screen. I don't think it's gonna happen because he's not going to Denver. But would you accept this trade as a Heat fan, or would you be satisfied with this trade as a Heat fan? The Heat will get Zach LaVine, Dario Saric, and Valko Kankar. The Bulls will get Michael Porter Jr., Darian Holmes, and a first-round pick. I hope then Jimmy will go to the Denver Nuggets for Jimmy Butler, and Torrey Craig will go to the Denver Nuggets. As a Heat fan, would you be happy with this trade?
No.
Hey, I couldn't even imagine. When I seen it, I only want to show you this because I seen it, I got the dying laugh. I'm only going to show you this one. But I couldn't imagine you having to watch Tyler Hero and Zach LaVine in the backcourt together. That would be devious work. You'll probably have a headache every episode. But me bringing up Bobby Portis and being like a solid big that a team should go for. Anthony Davis is in the media. He had an interview with Shams, and during his interview with Shams, he pretty much alluded to that the Lakers need to get a big man, and what some that AD has been saying for the longest, and he's not going to stop saying, I'm at the best when I'm at the 4. He do not like playing the 5. He wants to play the 4, Sean. And also, he brought up, just to reference his point, I ain't gonna lie, he pulled the real takes of a fake debates moment. He brought facts into it. He said, when you go back and look at our team we won a championship with, we had multiple bigs, and you look at who we got to go through in the West, they have multiple bigs. Even though I know he only saying that because he don't want to play the 5, but I tip my hat to AD for bringing up the point, hey, we got these bigs in a way, multiple bigs will actually help us. But what's your reaction to AD saying that the Lakers need to get a big, which I don't think he's wrong. But I feel like for the reason he's saying it ain't the reason he's saying it for.
Sometimes I wonder, was he really born in the Chi? I'm just leave it at that.
I played him all 4 years in high school. So, yes, he's born in the Chi.
No, and I mean, like, the softness is what I'm talking about. It's like, it's like Carvel soft. It's like, Giordano's pizza fresh out the oven soft. Like, it's just like, dude, like, the reason why you play the center position is because LeBron James is no longer a 3 in today's NBA.
No.
Like, can we just admit that?
Yeah, LeBron is pretty much a 4 now.
He's a 4 now. So why are we like, oh, we need this? I'm not saying don't get a center to like back you up and or a center that you can play occasionally, because I don't think you can do it for an entire game at this point where LeBron is playing the 3. You guys will get smoked. Particularly defensively on the wing. So I just think it's crazy, but it's also atypical. This is the time of the year, pre-trade deadline, when the sub tweets and the little passive aggressiveness and blah 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 happens, and this, and also I think they also have to own that they just don't have a lot of roster flexibility. They went out and got Dorian Finney-Smith, who we know helps. They were able to get him for basically, getting rid of someone they didn't really want. So I just think you got to, at some point, you just got to kind of own that this is what you have right now and suck it up and do what Eric Poster says and get over it.
Yeah, he not gonna do
Get
that.
over it. This is not 2020 anymore. This is not 2020. This is 2025.
Yeah,
Get over
it. And then AD got to realize too that like you had some months off to get healthy because it was the same question concern even when you was playing the 4 about you being hurt. Because I know the real reason why he like playing the 5 because he get banged up and he's scared to get injured, which is understandable. But when you come out and say, "Yeah, I'm at my best when I'm at the 4," and even though, like I said, he brought some facts about them winning and who he got to play for, like why they need another big. But we all know because we know the history of how Anthony Davis is. You're not asking for no big to play against the Jokic's and all that, or you're not asking for a big because of your championship run. You're just doing it because you don't want to play the 4. And we all know that. And I hate that AD do that because, I show my boy love, which he is from the Shy. But I hate he do that because that's when he started getting that. Oh, he's soft label, and it'd be hard to defend my boy. I'm gonna defend him because he's from the shot, but he makes it hard. Only big man that I can see them really like truly going for that would make more sense. I mean, if you're just gonna sign Dwight out the street because you can't really got no move, nothing else to do. I see if the Wizards trying to get rid of Valanciunas or if they're gonna cut Valanciunas. I think he's still on the Wizards. That's the only big man I really see that makes sense for them. Or we talking about Bobby Portis, or maybe see what you get for Bobby Portis. But besides that, is nothing really else out there that they can really go get, Sean. So I know he asked for a big man, which he publicly letting it be known. And also, I think we got to start having a conversation too. As much as we call out players, coaches, we got to start calling out GMs too. I'm sorry, Sean. Is at a point now where your boy in there too, Pat Riley and whoever run the Heat over there too. But when I'm tired of seeing players who instantly get blamed, coaches instantly get blamed, but people don't hold GMs accountable. Like Rob Pelinka legs should be under the fire, and he should be sitting in a hot seat for years because how he had add nothing to this team, or he wasted all of they pretty much value that they had. I know the LeBron one for the Russ. LeBron can take that hit for that one. But at the end of the day, dog, you got to do your job. I think we need to start holding GMs accountable just like how we do coaches and players.
So let me say this. I think two things. One, obviously, it's easier to hold coaches and players accountable because they're front facing. We see them all the time. Mm-hmm. A lot of times with GMs are working at the discretion of the ownership. Mm-hmm. So a GM is doing what the ownership is often allowing them to do or not allowing them to do. So they're saying, hey, we can only spend this amount of money on players. The GM can't do much. I mean, they can try, they can fight, mm-hmm. But if the ownership says, hey, we're spending this amount of money on players, or we're not going to go this much further than this into the luxury tax, which is a reality in the NBA. Yeah. And now again, I think where I like to give GMs at least some level of reprieve is the new CBA, which makes it very difficult to make a lot of the moves that you used to make, a year or two ago. There's a lot of things that factor in. Players and guys can say what they want all day. But there's a reality of it, and the reality of it is that the ownership and the front office have the responsibility of doing what's best for the organization. Mm-hmm. That's their job. The Lakers, like every other organization, have to work within the confines of what they have in terms of assets, in terms of picks, things that. That's what they have to work within. It's not a magic wand where you can just say, hey, give me it doesn't work that way. Yeah. And again, the new CBA, that's what they wanted. That's what the owners wanted. Mm-hmm. Largely. That's why they approved it. That's why the players, signed off on it. Yeah, you got a little bit more money, but you also understand now, if you make this amount of money, it's going to be hard to carry two max guys. If you have 3 max guys, and you're filling that roster out with other guys who are making, $20-25 million a season, you're just going to be limited. That is the nature of the beast. And from a fan perspective, I hope people really understand why this exists. This is what the owners want it. The Players Association agreed to it. That's why that's collective bargaining at its finest. So you kind of have to get that. And again, we're going to talk about after this season, SB, we're going to talk about the Boston Celtics, because the Boston Celtics are going to be in a very interesting situation this upcoming offseason. When you look at their contracts and the players they have on the books, for the following season, at the numbers that they have them, somebody may have to go.
And it might be.
I think it's going to be Drew Holiday.
Probably.
Honestly. I think it's going to be Drew Holiday just because of the number, where he is, and what they're going to be paying Jaylen Brown, what they're paying Jaylen Brown this year, and what they're paying Jason Tatum next year. And they have to also consider they got to get ready to try to extend Porzingis if they want to keep him. So
that's why I might let go, but that's why I'll probably let walk.
I don't get rid of younger for older. That's my rule. So my all I'm saying,
if he ain't available, sure, it don't matter.
But also, I mean, and we're just being honest, Drew Holiday isn't having the greatest of seasons, and he's at a pretty decent number, considering, when you look at the makeup of their roster. So I'm just saying that they're gonna have to make some decisions. That is the new normal of the NBA from a business perspective. OKC in a couple of years is going to have to make some decisions too, because they got a lot of young talent. They can't pay everyone. That is the nature of it. So guys can say what they want. Guys can say what they want all day, but you understand, if you get what you want, it may lock you in that roster in where you can't do anything. So you can't complain if it's a 500 roster, but you're locked in because this is what you wanted. So can you remain competitive while also having some roster flexibility? And that's what these teams have to figure out in this new normal of the CBA.
It kills the super team thing, whatever, or less guys are gonna start taking pay cuts. So it's a win-win for the owners, like the owners. So players, you want to get paid, you're gonna be by yourself, pretty much, or you ain't gonna have as much help like how Boston got right now. I think Boston probably got like the last hoorah of a stacked team of talent, but players gonna still want to move around. I think the real thing is that it's not gonna be as much player mobility as it was. I think guys are going to actually start sticking to teams that they're at, too, Sean. And I actually think that might be better for the league in the upcoming years, when like LeBron goes away, Curry goes away, KD goes away, because now you got to build that foundation of a star, unless somebody else, the next LeBron or somebody come in the draft, you got to build another foundation of a star player. But also, this is your opportunity with like the guys or the NBA players who have a heavy player-only fan base, like a LeBron fan base, like a Curry fan base, where no matter where that guys go, I'm gonna be a fan of that team. So they bandwagon hop to different teams. Once these guys go away, I think the NBA should try to take advantage of bringing back team fandom, try to get people to really lock in on teams. So now if you get a guy to stay with a team for a solid 8 to 10 years, and you've been with that team for so long, maybe somebody might actually stay, instead of somebody being there that team for they one contract 5 years and then they getting up out of there. So I think it will help in the long term with the CBA. So we're going to wait and see. Sean, I don't care about the game of this game at all. I don't care about this game at all. It's what happened after the game. I don't care who won this game. I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not watch this game. It's when the Warriors played the Wizards. And that shit, if I had to explain why I didn't watch that game, well, you ain't been watching basketball unless you're a Warriors or a Wizards fan. So we watching that game because the Warriors ain't been looking that good and the Wizards is trash. So I'm not watching it. But what took more headlines than that game was Jordan Poole had a comment, and he tweeted pretty much like, yeah, it was good playing my old team. I got love for you guys over there, most of these guys. Then Draymond Green saying it, then he tweeted back, I'm sorry about the situation. So then after that, it went viral. Everybody got to talk about it because, everybody got podcasts now. Draymond Green alluded on the Draymond Green show that he pretty much ready for Jordan Poole to move on from the situation. And obviously the situation is where Draymond Green Falcon punch Jordan Poole in practice. it's cool to say because it's not like they beefing. Y'all basketball players. It's not like it's gonna be a life or death situation. Y'all not in no street situation, guys. But for you to sneak me as a team and pretty much knock me out, you can't tell me when I need to move on for a situation. It's gonna be up forever. It is what it is. I'm never gonna like you. I'm never gonna rock with you again. I'm not gonna like you at all. You can't tell me how I supposed to forgive you or when I'm supposed to forgive you or if I should ever let it go. Now I don't want to sit down with you at all. So you can't. It's Draymond Green's fault. And sometimes even like I learned this from my granny. Granny always say this, like everything has a consequence. And then when you know what your action you do, you got to deal with what comes with it. And Draymond Green, you got to deal with what comes with what you did. You can't tell him, man, get over, try to get over it, try to move on because you always keep bringing it up. No, I'm gonna bring it. It's how I feel, and I'm gonna speak how I say it. And how you punch me too. Yeah, okay, no, it's up. But what do you think about this situation, though, Sean? Do you think they should move? Jordan Poole should move on? Yeah, what you think?
Let me ask you a question, SB. You seen the movie Friday, right?
Of course.
Does Craig get to tell Debo he has to move on from knocking him out?
No, Debo chased him to all the way today. They heard Rancho Cucamonga,
all the way to Rancho Cucamonga.
Wait. Where's Craig house at in L.A. right? Or what was it?
Yeah, in Compton.
Compton. How far is Compton from Rancho Cucamonga?
It ain't close by.
So he pulled the Matt Barnes. Debo pulled the Matt Barnes in the movie to go because he got knocked out. But
right.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Right, no, you're fine. No, my at the end of the day, Jordan Poole's allowed to feel how he wants to feel about it. The puncher doesn't get to tell the punchee when to move on. Like it doesn't work that way. Now, I hope Jordan Poole eventually is able to move on from it from the perspective of not talking about it anymore. But it's something he experienced. It's something he has to live with and live through. At the end of the day, Draymond is not the message may be right. The messenger is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where Draymond, I think, is not really seeing it. Like, yeah, you weren't the one that it happened to. You were the one who did it.
Right.
So at a certain point, you hope Jordan Poole's able to move on, but that's his process. It's not Draymond's process. And I honestly, I hate when Draymond talks about it because it's like, yeah, you were the one who didn't get knocked out.
Of course, you cool with it.
Yeah, of course it's all right with you. So yeah, but Draymond, stop talking about it. Stop bringing it up. Realize, hey, listen, and Draymond, to his credit, has apologized, has said he was wrong. So I'm not gonna knock him for that. But just stop talking about it. Anytime somebody wants to engage about it, just be like, I'm not talking about that. That's in the past. I've had to move on. I wish Jordan the best. I hope best for his career, and just leave it at that, man. But continue to talk about it just because it gets clicks. To me, you're part of the problem at that point.
Yeah, and I feel like Draymond is even like still being a little bit more, even more aggressive with how he going about it too, trying to like force Jordan Poole to like move on or forgive him, because I ain't gonna say who it was, but I know Draymond Green had another situation with somebody else. It didn't go the way with Jordan Poole when Draymond Green forgave him. So maybe try to get Jordan Poole to forgive him because something happened to Draymond Green with another player. I'm not going allegedly. If you know who it is and what allegedly was supposed to happen. Draymond Green forgave him, so I guess he want Jordan Poole to do the same thing. Nah, it don't work like that. It don't work like that. Sorry. Sean, LeBron James and Bronny is in the news again. Not shocking at all, but this time for something different. LeBron James and Bronny turned down the NBA Skill Challenge invite, and they would have been the first father-son duo to do it. And I have a problem with this, though, Sean, because and And I hope LeBron didn't back out. Maybe he probably just didn't want to do it. You know, he about 40 now, so he probably just want to relax anyway. He don't want to be doing nothing. But so I'm gonna put that one as a safety net, just that one just in case. But if LeBron James possibly avoided doing this just because he didn't want to hear the nepotism stuff and why Bronny there stuff, I think he bogus. At the end of the day, like you said, you want to do history breaking stuff. That would have been something in the history books that you and Bronny did, and nobody else can say that. I think it would have been a great moment for the NBA fans and a great moment for the James family to see him and Bronny do that. And it's like you already this far in. What's the point of switching up now? Like, no, go do it. You be the first father son to do everything. Why not? Take advantage of it. This is your enjoyment year, LeBron. Why do it? Don't take Bronny away from it now. What's the worst they're gonna say? They already said the worst they could say. Nepotism. He ain't supposed to be there and all that. And Bronny has been quiet, and you see the talks have been going away because he actually been balling or doing nice in the G League, was showing that he can play. So what's the point of running away from this now? I think you should have did it. It would have been big for the league, big for the James family, and that would have been another moment that he could have probably actually really enjoyed with Bronny, and for the fans too, who are fans of that family, to enjoy it. So I think LeBron kind of like backed out, punked out on this one. I'm sorry, I don't agree with him. I think they should have did it. What you think, Sean?
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I understand, not wanting that attention. I also believe too that, this isn't LeBron's last season. I think LeBron's going to play one more season after this year.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be something I think he would consider doing next year, maybe, as kind of a, swan song season. I'm a firm believer in 23 for 23. That's kind of my theme. I'm going to bookmark. I'm going to trademark that. So,
so they're going to be on shirts. They're going to be on shirts. Yeah. 23 for 23 shirts.
Yeah. So, but that said, I'm not mad with them turning it down. Ultimately, All-Star Weekend's a long weekend for the All-Stars and for those who are participating that weekend. I think the last thing you want to do is add anything else to LeBron's plate at this point.
Yeah. I think possibly that's why the main reason that he turned it down. Probably like, bro, I'm 40, bro. I'm not going to be doing all that. I barely want to go to the game on Sunday. LeBron, I think last year, did he barely play? I think he played like the first couple quarters, the first minutes in the first quarter, then sat down the whole game and played the fourth. That's it. He was like, bro, y'all, I didn't even hit him on mic saying like, y'all finna play. I'm not playing. Y'all got this young boys. Get out there and play. And you can't tell them no because LeBron is like the OG now. So they always do that with the young player, make them play. But speaking of an All-Star game, the All-Star starters have been announced, Sean. And we go to the starting lineup for your Western Conference All-Stars. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Nikola Jokic. And for your Eastern All-Stars, you got Jalen Brunson, Devon Mitchell. Geez, that could have been Davion. Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jason Tatum, and the big bodega, Karl Anthony Towns. Do you think they got the fives right?
That's what the fans, media, and players voted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to argue with that piece. I think we get a little too wrapped up in who's starting versus who's the reserve. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, when they look back on your career, SB, they'll say you were a 12-time All-Star. They're not going to say, oh, you started 5 and you came off the bench 12 or 7 or whatever. Nobody cares. I mean, were you an All-Star? Did you get the honor to be an All-Star? So it doesn't really matter, to me,
Well, I can say they got it right. Now, obviously, you want to argue like who, like the star party don't matter, but those 10 guys is obviously All-Stars, especially shout out Cat too. Cat is having an amazing year. But no, this is the point we can't argue though, because we are going to do our NBA All-Star Reserve predictions. We got to talk about this, Sean. We're gonna do East or West first. What you want to do, East or West first, Sean?
We can do East first.
Do East first. All right, let me move this banner out the way. And let's move us here. All right, this is Sean's NBA East reserved list. Go ahead, Sean. Take the cake. Why you pick who you picked?
Yeah, so just to put context on it, for the reserves, the coaches vote for the reserves. They have to pick 2 backcourt, 3 front court, and 2 wild cards. So that's what you're seeing. That's why you're seeing it as it is. For me, some no-brainers. LaMelo Ball, obviously, and Cade Cunningham, no-brainers to me. Those 2 young guys are having great seasons. Detroit is exceeding many people's expectation, and it's being led by Cade Cunningham. Jaylen Brown, we obviously know Jaylen Brown. Finals MVP, Eastern Conference Finals MVP, one of the best players in the league on one of the best teams in the league. He's an all-star.
Yes.
Evan Mobley has taken his game to another level this season for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Best record in the league. Absolutely, for me, was an all-star. When it got down to that third front court spot for me, it was, kind of looking around and saying who deserves. I know people are going to talk about, Orlando and the season they're having, but their 2 best players have missed a lot of games. Don't think they're, going to be named all-stars. Some other guys, in the conversation, Bam is always an all-star, generally in the conversation, but for me, so it came down to, looking at records, looking at teams, and Pascal Siakam, who's been an all-star, multiple-time all-star, multiple-time all-NBA, is having a traditional Pascal Siakam season for the Indiana Pacers. So he got the third front court spot to me. And then the last 2 wild cards, East is very guard heavy. Again, you talk about Dame, certainly in the conversation. With Tyrese Halliburton in the conversation over the last couple months, but it came down to me. Darius Garland has been playing at an all-star level. I think Cleveland has 3 all-stars, deserves 3 all-stars. So Darius Garland, and then Trae Young, who I know probably doesn't always get the respect he deserves. He's having statistically a tremendous season on an Atlanta team that's probably exceeding again public expectations, for that team coming into this season. So I went with Trae Young and Darius Garland as my 2 wild cards in the East.
Okay. This one I was hurt because of, like you said, you gotta pick 2 guards, 3 front court players, and then your 2 wild cards. And I think the problem is that the bottom half, I tried to find the best way possible to get Pascal Siakam up, because I do think the last 3 spots for the NBA All-Star Game East should have been all guards, but the rules don't work like that. So obviously, you see our top 4 is pretty much the same. I gotta go LaMelo Ball of Charlotte. Been playing out of his mind, and then I know the record ain't as much as like crazy on the winning, but the Charlotte Hornets are actually doing a lot better than what people thought they was going to be. And then LaMelo at a point in time during the season was averaging like 30 plus points with close to double digits, if not double digits assists during the point in time of the season. He was at a point playing like an MVP level. I'm glad, like you brought up the fact of Cade Cunningham and the Detroit Pistons. I believe they were just on like a winning streak for a while, or they was on a positive end on winning, especially on this recent run with Cade Cunningham playing out of his mind, giving you 20 plus points, almost 10 assists. Actually, we're going to round it up about 10 assists. Jaylen Brown, obviously no brainer, champion from the Boston Celtics, winning team, second best player on that team, championship player. Evan Mobley, I'm finally happy to see Evan Mobley. The Cavaliers are playing out of his mind as a team. Evan Mobley is finally getting unlocked. That's what happened when you change coaches. You got to get a good coach over there on that team. Evan Mobley is balling out of his mind. This is what we kind of go defer at. This is what I was stuck at, because I kind of agree with you that Darius Garland should be here, and the Cavs could possibly have 3 all-stars with the record that they have. But I figured that giving them 2 was fair enough. and because I have no choice. So I went past Pascal Siakam is here by default. I wanted to find a way to get Franz Wagner in here, but he didn't have enough games. Paolo, I couldn't get him in there. I literally sat for like an hour trying to find a way to get Pascal Siakam. So Pascal Siakam is here off the 4 position alone. And sometimes people got to realize that when it comes to like the All-Star game, where somebody could just make it off position alone. Then I went Dame Dollar because the problem with like Darius Garland, I just went off them playing who played better individually. That's what made my pick. Darius Garland right now is averaging 21, 6, 49% from the field, 42. Then I go Dame, he giving me 25, 44, 39, and then average more assists. So Dame having like more points and assists right now. And the Bucks are right behind him. Then Trae Young is playing out of his mind, 20 plus points, almost 12 assists a game. Atlanta is literally carrying them right now. So I have to put him there as an all-star. So I couldn't go away from Dame and Trae. It hurt to leave Darius Garland off because how good the Cleveland Cavaliers are playing. But I had to go Dame and Trae. And Siakam takes Darius Garland's spot by positional ruling. Next, Sean, we got to go to the Western Conference. Who you picking? Why, Sean, for the West?
I went with Ant. I mean, obviously, Minnesota's not having the same level of season they had last year, but certainly they're right there in the playoff conversation, largely, due to Ant, continuing to, play, really well. Norman Powell from the LA Clippers, he's their leading scorer. And again, Clippers have been out without their best player basically all season. Kind of came down to Harden or Norman Powell. I just went with Norman Powell because, again, he's their lead scorer. He's having a tremendous season in that role. And, again, as you mentioned, probably the favorite for most improved player. Anthony Davis, you're not going to not have Anthony Davis at the All-Star game if he's healthy. Again, started out this season tremendously, kind of come back down to earth a little bit, but certainly, right there. And then, from the Houston Rockets, Alperen Sengun, I just think Sengun has been their most consistent player for a Rockets team who, again, come into a season a lot of people weren't talking about. And, again, they're right there in the top of the Western Conference right now. And I think absolutely a surefire playoff team at this point. And then for the final front court spot, I went with Victor Wembanyama. I just think Wemby is taking his game to another level. San Antonio, again, very competitive, right there, kind of in that, potential play-in spot in the Western Conference, where some people might have had them coming in this season, but Wemby's taking his game to another level. And then my 2 wild cards, again, I'm a big fan of rewarding winning. Jalen Williams, J-Dub, has been absolutely on top of his game this season, and they're doing this largely without the person they thought would be their second best player this season in Chet. They've been Hartenstein for parts of the season as well, and OKC is running the Western Conference, part because J-Dub has been a great compliment to the MVP frontrunner SGA. And then, again, I'm a big believer in winning. You reward winning. Memphis, Ja's missed some time. Other guys have missed some time. So I went with Jaren Jackson Jr. I think he's, again, having a really, really good season. Has been an all-star previously, but I think you cannot not have someone from the Memphis Grizzlies on the all-star team, given where they are in a very tough and deep Western Conference. So I went with Jaren Jackson Jr.
Not a bad list. Not a Sacramento Kings on that. Ain't no Kings on there. But they haven't looked the same. But I did put one on mine, though, Sean. And we went a little bit different. We almost went the same. Obviously, Ant-Man is on the list. We don't have to really explain why Ant-Man is our all-star. I went De'Aaron Fox, Sean. I know the Sacramento Kings are not as good as people thought they was going to be. And because I know I had to pick between him and Sabonis, and then in the front court was kind of a little heavier on the west side. So I end up etching out Sabonis, even though Sabonis is definitely playing like an all-star caliber player, all-star worthy, but somebody always get left off. So I went to De'Aaron Fox, still putting up great numbers this year. But even though the Kings got to kind of figure it out, and I'm kind of not faulting them. I don't want to shoot my boy while he down, Debo, but I kind of seen the writing on the wall with that situation. And then they did just get rid of their coach, which still is a dumb move, by the way. So they got a lot of internal things going on in Sacramento, but De'Aaron Fox is still one of the best guards in the league. Obviously, you alluded to the point, Anthony Davis. You're not going to leave Anthony Davis on the All-Star, not on the All-Star team if he's healthy. Early in the year, playing at a high caliber level, it's kind of like you said, came back down to earth. It sucks that we're gonna have 2 Lakers on here. I got 2 Lakers on here because you definitely brought the factor why you had the OKC. But when you looked at Anthony Davis' star power and the numbers that he's been putting up, it's hard to not put him on this list. And Baby Pal Gasol, I called him, Sengun. The talk about overachieving. The Rockets have been overachieving this year, and there's no way you don't put Sengun on this list. Averaging a double-double this year, shooting 50% from the field. He has been one of their most consistent guys there right now. So I'm going to reward Sengun and put him in an all-star game. Got to go Victor Wembanyama, the next future star of the league. Got to put Wemby in an all-star game. I believe this is his first all-star game, right?
Yeah, it was his first one.
First all-star game, so you got to do it in the base. So you got to have Wemby there, putting up outstanding numbers. The Spurs are still a work in progress, as we know that. But compared to where the Warriors, Suns, Kings, even the Timberwolves and the Mavericks, the Spurs can go a quick 3-game, 4-game win streak, and next thing you know, they're the 7th seed. So it's not. Don't let the record fool you with them being at 12, because the Spurs is not as bad, because it's literally a close race for the play-in, and Wemby is a big part of that. Definitely got to go. I went Kyrie Irving. Once again, all-star game, got to go star power, but also the fact that Luka Doncic has been pretty much out, and Kyrie Irving has been keeping this team afloat. Right now, they at the 7th seed. Kyrie Irving is playing at an all-star level, giving you 20-plus points a game, about 6-7 assists a game. Kyrie Irving. And last but not least, I got to award the Memphis Grizzlies, because with Ja being out, Jaren Jackson has been stepping up. They are the 3rd seed right now. At the point of time where everything, I know you got like the Sabonis putting up crazy numbers, but the Grizzlies are the 3rd seed. And if you told me Ja missed as much time as he did so far this season, and the Grizzlies would still be at the 3rd seed, 29-15 right now, possibly closing in on the 2nd seed, I'll be like, you crazy, not without Ja. So I want to reward Jaren Jackson Jr., 22 points. He got to up them rebounds, though. That's the only thing I don't like about Jaren Jackson Jr. He got to up them rebounds. 6 rebounds ain't enough for me. But he get the blocks. He defend well. He scores well. So I'm going to have to go Jaren Jackson Jr. So let's give y'all a quick rundown of all our All-Stars again. Sean's Eastern All-Star Reserves go LaMelo Ball, Kay Cunningham, Jaylen Brown, Evan Mobley, Pascal Siakam, Darius Garland, Trae Young. SB's East All-Star Reserves: LaMelo Ball, Kay Cunningham, Jaylen Brown, Evan Mobley, Pascal Siakam, Dame Dollar, and Trae Young. Sean's Western Conference All-Star go with Ant-Man, Most Improved Player, Inbound, Norman Powell, AD, Sengun, Wemby, J-Dub, and Triple J. Jaren Jackson Jr. And my West go Ant-Man, De'Aaron Fox, AD, Sengun, Wemby, Uncle Drew, Mr. Kyrie Irving, and Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr. Make sure you guys comment down below under the video, not just in the live chat. What are your all-star reserves for both teams? I want to know, what are your all-star reserves? Sean, we got something else to talk about that I want to go to real quick. I want to go to the Diamond real quick, because the National Baseball Hall of Fame has 3 new members. And the key word I want to say, the 3 new, first of all, shout out Suzuki. I believe I said it right. Suzuki, CC, and Billy Wagner. But the main thing I want to talk about, and you can go a little more on the story about these guys winning, is how hard is it to get in the Baseball Hall of Fame. They literally only got 3 people 3 people to make the Hall of Fame is crazy. Like, shout out to the Baseball Hall of Fame, because ain't no way it's that easy to that y'all. It ain't no easy. It's that hard to get a Hall of Fame out there. When you have a class where only 3 people make it, we just see the class with like 10 people for the basketball one. So, and this ain't the MLB Hall of Fame. This is Baseball Hall of Fame. So it's whatever you do everywhere, right? It's baseball, just Baseball Hall of Fame. So no matter where you play baseball at, Sean, right? It's not just MLB.
Well, I mean, technically it's the MLB, but no, it's fine. But you're correct.
Okay, but I'm just saying, to only get 3 people is crazy. Why? What's going on? Why is it so hard? I mean, I respect it because a lot of people complain that it started to get too easy to become Hall of Famers. So, what's going on with the Baseball Hall of Fame?
I mean, it's the writers' vote, right? And you have to get 75% of the vote to get in. There are guys who are, start out on the ballot, and you're on the ballot for, I think, up to 10 years, as long as you're continuing to climb in the vote. It is not an easy thing, obviously, when you look at that, because writers have to vote. There's only been one unanimous Hall of Famer since the writers have been voting, and that was Mariano Rivera. So Suzuki Ichiro came close. Only one person did not vote for him to get in the Hall of Fame, which, again, I would love to hear that person's logic as to why. But that's neither here nor there. But it's not easy. It's just not easy. I think the only person that probably surprised me a little bit that didn't get in was Carlos Beltran. But I think there's some residual from what happened with Houston a few years ago. And there might be some of the writers that might be making him, pay for that, so to speak. But that said, this is a really good class, even with just 3 members. We talked about Ichiro. He's if you take what he did in Japan and what he did in MLB, he's the hits. He would be the hits, king combined. But also was a tremendous defensive player. Won an AL MVP and Rookie of the Year in the same year. Things like that. CC Sabathia. CC's a throwback when you look at the way pitching is used today. Starting pitchers are used today. He's a throwback, but 251 wins, over 3,000 strikeouts. ALCS MVP, Cy Young Award winner, World Series winner with the Yankees. CC, he was a guy he was a workhorse. He was the dude that came in, and I will say this. He played in Cleveland and New York mostly, but he had a short stint in Milwaukee because he got traded from Cleveland to Milwaukee when it was clear that Cleveland was not going to be able to keep him, and Milwaukee was trying to go on a playoff run. When you look at what he did in that run with Milwaukee, he was absolutely lights out, and the best pitcher in baseball at that time, in my opinion. And Billy Wagner, when you talk about closers, the value of closers, he was one of the best during his time. It took a little time for him to get in because he last pitched in 2010, but it did take some time, and obviously he was able to get in. So shout out to all those guys. Look forward to guys continuing to climb the Hall of Fame ladder, so to speak. But I think, when we talk about next year, you might be talking about Carlos Beltran, you might be talking about Chase Utley, some other guys who I think, are still waiting their turn, getting close, but still waiting their turn to get in.
All I ask is that other Hall of Fames kind of lock in on like how baseball is. Like, I think players should be respected and their career should be celebrated. But, everybody ain't no Hall of Famer. It's cool. It might suck and be like, dang, this person not a Hall of Famer. But, I think Prime said it. Before that gold jacket got to mean something. Or he said it's getting too easy. Now he needs to make another room for the game changes. Look at Prime said, it got to hold some weight to it. Speaking of Prime, why we got to bring up Prime? Because we got to go to the NFL. Obviously, everybody knows that the Titans have the number 1 pick in the draft, with fans and a lot of people, football heads, are believing that the Titans might go Travis Hunter. But they might not, Sean. New Titans GM Mike Borgonzi. Add that to the botch name counter. Mike Borgonzi said, "We are going to attack to find a franchise quarterback." With the number one pick, this is eye-opening, Sean. I'm gonna tell you my opinion on it, but I want to know how you think Mr. Mayo, Will Levis, should be feeling hearing that. And then also, do you pass up on a chance of a generational talent, even though all of them got talent up top, but a player like Travis Hunter, an all-around utility force on defense and offense, to take a chance on a quarterback?
I think the question is, can they answer their quarterback question in free agency prior to the draft?
Mm-hmm.
And if the answer is yes, then I think all things will be on the table, including, but not limited to, taking Travis Hunter at the top of the draft. Now, there's another guy in this draft named Abdul Carter from Penn State University. And there are people who believe he's the best player in this draft. He's an edge rusher, and he is an absolute monster. So I think all things will be on the table for the Titans at this draft if they're able to address their quarterback situation in free agency. I'm going to be very, very clear. I don't think they will. I think it's going to come down to Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward as the number one pick in this draft. Because, in this league, obviously, everybody says you need a quarterback. And they have an offensive head coach in Brian Callahan, who came from Cincinnati with Joe Burrow. They got to find their Joe Burrow somehow, some way, for Brian Callahan and for the Titans organization. And again, will it come down to Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward? There's not any other quarterbacks in this draft that we obviously, have ranked that highly. As far as Mr. Mayo, he didn't do anything to show that he should be the unquestioned starter next year. So, yeah, they have to attack finding a franchise quarterback, because he didn't show over the last couple seasons that he could be it consistently. So, yeah, that's the job. And again, I think when we look at the prospects of Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, I would say those guys have better prospects at this point than Mayonnaise. So let's if you're the Titans, you have the first pick for a reason. You weren't very good. And you need to address a lot of issues on your team, but namely finding that next guy, because again, that's a franchise that's used to having, long-term quarterbacks. When you go back to when they were in Houston, Warren Moon and obviously Steve McNair, and so they're used to having, some stability there. And the best way to find that obviously is having the number one pick in the draft. Again, there's not a free agent quarterback currently available that you say this person addresses our issues for the next 10, 15 years. That's just not available right now. So, they have to attack it. And again, I think it's going to be at the top of the draft.
When you say you're going to attack to find a franchise quarterback, that's telling me you got to be going through the draft, because it's nobody, like you said, on available on the free agent list that's going to be a franchise guy for your franchise. It'd be different if you say you got somebody who can do the job, or, we need to let Will develop a little more, so we're going to bring in a vet. You ain't say nothing like that. If I'm Mr. Mayonnaise, Will Levis, and why we call him Mr. Mayonnaise, not because he put mayo in the coffee. I just know one day somebody going to hear me like, why are you just calling this white man mayonnaise? He put mayonnaise in his coffee.
Yeah, he literally has an endorsement for mayonnaise.
Yes.
So that's why we call him Mr. Mayonnaise. It has nothing to do with his skin color. He's just
for future reference. Just for future reference, because I already know.
Right? No, he's not because he's white. He's just nasty.
Yeah, mayonnaise in the coffee is evil work. He's a villain on and off the field. But I could possibly see them passing up on Travis Hunter, because if they're shooting that much for a franchise guy, And now it's kind of hard to pick up top because you got two guys, and it could be green light or bust with one of these guys being good. And we have always seen this, that sometimes the quarterbacks that y'all think gonna be good, both of them could end up being not good. And it could be somebody around at the 10th pick that everybody slept on, and then he end up winning. End up winning to be the best quarterback. So I don't know if because there's like, if you go next year, what could be the quarterback available next year? I don't really know off the top of the head. There's nobody that's really like sparking names where it'd be like, hey, you could take this year off the next year. And then you can't screw up the number one pick. Ain't too many times you're going to be able to keep this number one pick. So let us know in the chat too what y'all think what the Titans should do. Just draft Travis Hunter and then call it one. But speaking of new coaches, new GMs, new everything, Sean, a lot of people got hired and fired. So we can just talk about the hiring. We're going to go through. I got, let me see how many I got on the list. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just four. 4 coaches on the list, and I want you to grade them. Tell me what you think from this grade. New hire, Chicago Bears, Ben Johnson. What do you grade it and why?
B+. B+. I think it's a good. Okay. I think it's a good hire. I don't know if it's a slam dunk hire. Apparently, I believe he's hiring Dennis Allen as his defensive coordinator.
Yeah, that's the guy. Hey.
So Dennis Allen. No, listen. Dennis Allen's a great defensive coordinator, but the worst head coach should never be a head coach of anything. Ever.
He said, "Don't let him lead nothing."
Nothing. As I've always said, the man can't manage a damn Dairy Queen. So no. That said, I think it's a B+. I think, again, if everybody expects it to look the Bears offense to look exactly like the Lions offense these past couple of years, pump your brakes. It doesn't necessarily work that way.
You don't got no Jahmyr Gibbs up there.
Right. They have to build an offense and a system around the skill sets of the guys they have, starting with Caleb Williams. But again, for me, when you hire a head coach, SB, again, as I stated multiple times, it is not about hiring a head coach who has an expertise on one side of the ball. It's about hiring a person who can build a culture and is a leader of people.
Yep.
And that's what remains to be seen about Ben Johnson. We'll see. But right now, I'm giving it a B+. You weaken the division opponent by getting him.
Yep.
And I think you strengthen your offense by getting him. But you got to build a culture, and you got to show that you can lead and people and get guys to buy into you. So I'm gonna give it a B+.
Plus, I like that. I'm gonna give it an A- for 2 things that you said. One, you said you weaken a division opponent. And then you went and got an offensive guy because you know you got a generational talent at quarterback, and you went for his needs, but also he doubled up and protected himself by going to get Dennis Allen, your guy, so he can run a solid defense. That's what I'm going to give it an A- right now. Obviously, my only concern is what you alluded to is, can Ben Johnson show leadership? We get that you great at play calling, which he already announced that he's going to do play calling on the offensive side, I would presume, and not defensively. So I would just want to see how can he lead and how can he handle adversity, because what Dan Campbell did, people laughed at it and thought it was funny when he was talking about biting kneecaps and all talking crazy. But guess what? That team will run through a brick wall for him. And that's what you got to have as a coach, no matter how good you is at play calling. Because play calling only going to get you, that's only a part of the recipe. Leadership and get your team into believe in what you're saying, that matters the most. But for right now, I'm going to call it A-.
Just one slight correction. Dennis Allen is not my guy. I have never liked Dennis Allen. I will never like Dennis Allen. If I saw Dennis Allen in the streets, I wouldn't even acknowledge him. He'd just be another dude. Okay, we can move on.
Hey, I thought you gonna hit the Bernie Mac. If I see a street, I get a rock, I'll bust you in your head. All right, next up on the list. The New York Jets hire Aaron Glenn as the next head coach. And Sean, when I seen this, just off instant reaction, and I think, and do my research and looked up. I was mad about this one because I felt like this is a trap job, and they're gonna use Aaron Glenn to blame him for something. But I forgot he actually played for the Jets, so they kind of make more sense of him going there because I ain't want this to be somebody gets a job just to has it as a trap job, or I hope he'll get this job and build something up, and then they try to replace this guy after he builds something up. So I hope there's not a trap job. I hope the Jets genuinely want him there. Maybe he got a good relationship with ownership there, which I'll be shocked, but because of him as a former player, so hopefully that is good. I think Aaron Glenn has the leadership factors. I want to see what can he handle when it comes to adversity with like the team on a day-to-day basis. What his adjustments is the only thing that I would be concerned about. But I will rate this grade a B for the Jets, a F for Aaron Glenn for going to the Jets. He's going in a bad situation though. But I'm gonna go B. I'm gonna go B for this one.
So I'm gonna answer this two ways. As a Saints fan, I was hoping Aaron Glenn would be the Saints' next head coach. I like Aaron Glenn a lot. I think if you know his story, you know how hard he's worked to climb the ladder, to learn not just coaching, but organizationally how things should be, because he worked as a scout and in front office, things of that nature. So as a Saints fan, this is an F because I hate that he's not in New Orleans. But for the Jets' purposes, I think this is an A higher. I think this is an absolute A higher. I believe Aaron Glenn is absolutely ready to not just help that Jets organization, but he's someone who understands that organization because he played there. He was drafted there. He knows that market. He knows how to handle and comport himself in that market. I think he's going to be bought into doing what it takes, but it's going to take time. It's going to take some time. I don't think it's going to be an instant turnaround. Obviously, they got to figure out the situation with Aaron Rodgers, and they got some, plenty of free agents they need to figure out. But also, they got some young guys they need to get locked in. They need to get Garrett Wilson locked in. They need to get Sauce locked in. So it's an A for me.
Got pieces on defense for sure.
He has pieces on defense, and I think they were a good defense last year under Robert Saleh. They kind of slipped, when Saleh left, but they were a good defense the last couple years. They do have some pieces, but I'm going to say it's an A in the sense that he's ready for this. He's built for this, and I think he's going to do a good job given time to build it the way he sees it.
And what grade did you give it, Sean, again? You said an A?
An A. I gave it an A.
Okay. Next on the list, Sean, the Jacksonville Jaguars are hiring Tampa Bay Bucks offensive coordinator Liam Coen as their new head coach. What do you grade this one, Sean?
So let me say two things, SB. One, this has been one of the strangest processes in a very long time because originally he pulled out of consideration for the job, part because he didn't want to work for Trent Baalke, the GM. Jacksonville fires the GM. He tells Tampa Bay, I'm coming back. I'm going to be the offensive coordinator. Tampa Bay signs him to a new contract, making him one of the highest paid offensive coordinators in the league. And then he goes back to Jacksonville, and Jacksonville hires him. And as I'm hearing from sources, that this is strange. This does not happen like this. That said, I think this is a very solid hire for Jacksonville. He's shown, again, the last two offensive coordinators for the Bucks, what they've been able to do with that offense, particularly Baker Mayfield, has propelled them into head coaching opportunities. Obviously, Dave Canales in Carolina, and now Liam Coen in Jacksonville. This tells me they're invested in trying to make Trevor Lawrence work. Whether or not Trevor Lawrence will work still remains to be seen, but I think it's a solid hire. He's a young guy. Shad Khan, the owner, seems to be very patient with both of his hires. So I'm going to give this one a B+. I think it's a really solid hire, but he's going to have to fill out a good staff. And obviously they're going to have to find a GM as well to work with him to fill out that roster because they don't have a GM currently on staff.
What grade you give it?
B+.
B+. For me, for Trevor Lawrence, this is an A+ hire for Trevor Lawrence alone. This guy has a history of being a quarterback coach. It was a couple offensive coordinators, mainly be quarterback, so he's a quarterback guy. And I know the Jacksonville Jaguars have been trying to find that guy for Trevor Lawrence. But it's when you come to head coaches, it's more than just Trevor Lawrence. And my other concerns with, like, obviously this is his first head coaching opportunity. What can he do? And obviously the shaky situation that just happened with the Bucks. But we also have to acknowledge the fact of how good the Bucks was and how good Baker Mayfield looked under him. So now you're thinking if he can make Baker Mayfield look like that, what can he do with Trevor Lawrence? And then obviously we still at a point where we're trying to unlock Trevor Lawrence to be that player that they seen from Clemson. So for me personally, I would give this one a B for now. My only concerns will be who else can you approve outside of the quarterback? And how can you manage the defense, or who you going to build up on your staff to manage the defense? Because I believe, like, with the Jacksonville Jaguars have weapons. I think their offense is going to be better. I believe their offense is probably going to be one of the better offenses in the league, probably going to rank top 10 next season with what they have, and then what Coen is going to bring in with this team. And I expect a better, a more improved year out of Trevor Lawrence, because I feel like this hire is only for Trevor Lawrence. That's how I feel. So right now, I will give this one a B, Sean. Next on the list, the Raiders hire former Super Bowl winning coach, former Seattle Seahawks head coach, Pete Carroll. What do you grade this one, Sean?
I'm going to give this an incomplete.
Oh, come on, Sean.
No, I'm going to give this an incomplete. And there's two reasons why I'm going to give it an incomplete. Number one, I think Pete Carroll is a very solid hire. When you just look at that division of coaches, that is probably the best coaching division in football. And the Raiders, as we talked about, SB, needed someone in the same cachet, maybe not quite, but in the same cachet of Andy Reid, Sean Payton, and obviously, Harbaugh. All coaches, every single coach in that division has been to a Super Bowl. 3 of them have won Super Bowls. So you need someone at that cachet. Why I'm giving it an incomplete is if I can ask the Raiders to do 2 things.
They ain't going to do it.
Technically 3. Number one, get a coach in waiting on the staff. Pete Carroll is 74 years old. He is not your long-term answer. He can help get things on track, but at 74, he's not your long-term answer, if we're just being honest. And I know he's a youthful guy. He likes to run around and throw the football, things like that. But
I still got it, Sonny. That's the type of old man he is.
Right. We got to be honest. We got to just be honest about where he is. So when you fill out this staff, please have somebody on staff that you view as a coach in waiting under Pete Carroll, that Pete Carroll can learn under Pete Carroll. So when he does eventually retire or transition away from coaching, whatever he does, you can keep the train rolling. You're not, again, having that constant turnover. The second thing is that obviously they're linking Russell Wilson to the Raiders now.
Please do it.
I think it would be a solid move for the Raiders to do it if you get a quarterback in waiting on the roster behind Russell Wilson. Because let's be clear, Raiders, Russell ain't your long-term future as Sierra.
I can't deal with you now. I see what you did, but I can't deal with you now. You keep going. You keep going. What you grading this, Sean? You got to give me something, man.
No, it's an incomplete grade for me with those two things. That's all I'm saying. Until I see what happens with those two things, it's an incomplete for me.
Future bar was crazy, by the way. For me, I hope they do get Russell Wilson. That'll be happy day for me as a Charger fan. But I remember it was like 2 episodes ago when we talked about the Raiders looking for a coach. And I said, when you look at that division of coaching, that might be the best division of coaches. You got Andy Reid, you got Sean Payton, you got Harbaugh. You cannot bring a first-time coach into this situation. And that's what I like what the Raiders kind of did with this move, with this hire. Because imagine a first-time head coach and he looking across from Sean Payton in Denver. It's going to be a master class of coaching going on. He's going to work you. Then you got to go see Harbaugh, Mr. Motivator, done just turned the Chargers around. I don't think you want to see that. Then you go see possibly one of the greatest coaches of all time, and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. You can't put no newcomer, no first-time coach in that situation. He'll lose his job that first year because it'd be crazy that he'd probably lose every game in his division just off coaching alone. So I love the fact that they went and got a vet. I do agree with you that they do need to have somebody in wait because Pete Carroll is old. I disagree with going to go get Russell Wilson. I mean, being honest, if me as a Chargers fan, I would love for them to go get Russell Wilson. Please start him. I think you should just go get your guy. Just get your guy now. If you can't get him, go get him now. Just get your young guy and work with him because you got Brock Bowers there looking like he's going to be the next stud tight end. You need to just establish your future. Get your good person right there. I didn't want to say future because we talking about Russell Wilson. I give this move off the chest move along with a vet piece an A because of knowing that you needed to get a vet coach because of how prestige coaching is in this division. Yes, this is the best division when it comes to coaching. When you look down the list of all the coaches in the AFC West, it's no better 3-stack of coaches at that point in time. But I do agree that you do need to have somebody in wait because I can see you getting 3 to 4 years out of Pete Carroll, and after that, you gotta let him walk. Or you gotta let him go ahead and retire because he's gonna be getting ready to push 80. You don't need no 80-year-old man out there trying to coach. I'm sorry. But yes, I'm gonna give it an A just off the chest move alone of getting the vet guy to understand that you cannot go get any new guy and expect him to do. You set him up for failure. 1, you got roster problems, and then 2, your division is a gauntlet of hell when it comes to coaching. But going to get a vet, I give it an A just off that alone. Now we gotta wait and see what Pete Carroll gonna do with this team. Sean, it's conference championship time in the playoffs. We had a lot of different upsets during that time, and we were shocked. But let's go ahead and talk about it. We got first up, Eagles and Commanders. The Cinderella versus the team we thought expected to be here. One story did come out that I want to chop it up real quick. Then we're gonna go back to the who we picking for this game. Commanders defensive coordinator said, this sounds like some Bounty Gate stuff to me, Sean. I'm sorry. That if Jalen Hurts decides to run, they're going to hit him like a running back. He said, we will hit Hurts like a running back on any design runs. So he letting it be known. Run if you want to. We're going to knock your head off. Sound like Bounty Gate to me, Sean. What you think?
No, I mean, they're going to treat him like a runner. And again, if you know a guy's hampered, has an injury, and you know specifically where that injury is, you're going to try to make him feel it. Now, I don't think that means they necessarily play dirty. I just think they're going to try to find a competitive advantage with a guy who's not 100%. That said, I think Jalen Hurts is going to be wearing a brace. And Jalen Hurts is going to do what he's supposed to do to protect himself, I believe, as well. So, I mean, you can try that all you want. I mean, ultimately, he's going to protect himself. I'm not a big fan of putting that out as bulletin board material.
Yeah,
primarily because there's another defense on the other side of the ball that is going to try to come after your quarterback, and
who runs too,
who runs as well. And so I'm just not a big fan of teams putting that out. But that said, when Jalen Hurts takes off as a runner, as a scrambler, you have to treat him like a runner because he can kill you, as he showed last week, against the Rams.
Yeah. And Jalen, for the record, I mean, if anybody who I believe probably gets to take a hit is probably Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts ain't small. He's big. Now, Jay Daniels, you don't want him taking no hits. And all Commanders fans know you just see what happened when y'all quarterback take a lot of hits. Not to bring up all that stuff. Sorry about that, RG3. But I don't like the fact that you bringing it up a bit more material because of the refs. Now you just opening their ass for the flag because now they're gonna feel like, okay, they trying to go after him, and you might get a couple unnecessary roughness into the head. You go get these unnecessary calls that you kind of don't want to get because you put this out here. But to the game, Commanders Eagles, who you got and why, Sean?
I think there are a lot of factors to think about in this game. SB. One thing to consider, obviously, the Commanders, they haven't lost a game since November. They won 7 straight. 4 of those have been on the road. They're clearly comfortable playing on the road. They've been on the road all these playoffs, obviously in Tampa and then in Detroit last week. This game to me is going to come down to, I think, a couple things. One, Commanders' ability to stop the run. They allow about 138 rushing yards per game in the regular season. And even last week when they beat the Lions, they gave up over 200 yards rushing. So this game screams Saquon Barkley.
Saquon for 2 touchdowns. Put it down. Write it in. He's going to get 2.
And he had 2 very good games against them, during the regular season as well. There's going to be people saying, should go 8 in the box. If they go 8 in the box, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert are gonna love it and be grateful for it because that means they're going to eat. Washington secondary, they played solid. They played solid, but A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are just different animals. And obviously Goddard has shown he can, go off from time to time as well. Can they keep the Philly passing attack under control? Conversely, the Eagles, dealing with some injuries. Obviously, Quinyon Mitchell went out last week, not completely sure of his status. The Rams did a good job of going after Isaiah Rodgers last week when Quinyon went out. I would expect that Washington will be in a lot of spread looks, a lot of 4 receiver looks. They don't necessarily want to take Ertz off the field because Ertz has really been a very good security blanket for Jaden Daniels. They ran the ball okay last week. I don't know if they'll run the ball very well this week because you generally don't run the ball all that well against the Eagles.
No.
This is going to have to really fall on the shoulders of Jaden Daniels. And while I think he'll be up for the task of keeping them in the game, I'm just not sure it's going to be enough. I have the Eagles winning at home by 7, going to their second Super Bowl in 3 years.
Okay. Ooh, this game is going to be division rivals. I believe this team, they are 1-1 against each other, correct?
Yes.
Yep. Commanders got 1 game. And
yeah,
the problem is
in Washington.
But the problem is that 1 game, I believe Kenny Pickett played that game.
He played most of that game because Jalen Hurts, got hurt. Got hurt
early in the game. And then the other time they played, the Eagles, what was the score here? The Eagles beat them.
Beat them on Thursday Night Football. Yep.
Thursday night, yep. And the problem is Saquon Barkley went off, as I'm looking at the stats, 26 carries, 146, 2 TDs. So the problem is for me right there, can you contain Saquon Barkley? The answer is no. With this defense, you cannot. So we're not going to even lie to ourselves and be like, yeah, they're going to just lock you in the playoffs. You're not. So what can you do as a team to contain everything else? Because you're not going to stop that. I believe for the Commanders to get this game, they gotta have the ball more. So got to keep the ball out of Saquon's hand as much as you can. Sad to say this, Sean, you might have to take that risk of letting AJ Brown and Devontae Smith beat you, or say we're gonna stop all that. We already agreed that our defense can't stop the run. Let Saquon do his thing, and just try to completely shut down everything else, and try your best to put the Eagles in multiple long down situations. That's the best thing. That's the best way I can see defensively. Because or try to get the Eagles in the point of a shootout. If it gets to a point of a shootout where they both going back to back, which I doubt the Eagles defense try to make that happen, I can see the Commanders winning, because I don't think the Eagles want to get in a shootout with nobody wants to get in a shootout with this team at all. Their offense is too explosive. And from the Eagles side perspective, can you find a way just in case to get AJ Brown and Devontae Smith involved when it gets to that point with Saquon Barkley, where it's like, okay, well, Saquon Barkley's doing his thing, but it might not be enough because we in the shootout. So can you make those explosive plays when it's time to make that? And then also the Eagles defense, like with Jaden Carter, that line, can you not fall for the trick plays from the Commanders? So they're going to have some trick plays in their bag, but also can you constantly add pressure to this young rookie to not let him get a chance to get hot? Because if the Commanders get hot and they get the rolling, they can beat anybody right now. That's how hot they is right now. I'm going to go with the hot team right now, Sean. I want to see the Commanders win. I can see them doing it. But I can also see them lose. This is a 50-50. It's the conference championship game. I'm going to go Commanders. I think this game will get points caught up into a point of being a shootout. And I think the Commanders going to end up getting the last laugh and winning the play at the end of the game. Very close game.
All right. One thing I want to point out, too, the Commanders lost their starting right guard, Sam Cosmi, to a torn ACL last week, which means obviously they'll have a backup in there.
They're going to attack him.
Jalen Carter usually lines up on that side. So I'm just going to leave it at that. So
good luck to that, man. I'd rather for the Eagles avoid this Super Bowl, this Super Bowl loss to the Chiefs, who are for the pick in this next round again. So I rather for let the young blood take the L. But yes, Bills and Chiefs are up next. The battle of this AFC rivalry that the Bills swear they have with the Chiefs, respectfully, it's not a rivalry. Y'all got robbed that 1 year game but y'all didn't really get robbed. It was just the rules at that point in time. And ever since that one game, they swear they had a rivalry with the Chiefs, just like the Cincinnati Bengals feel like they had a rivalry with the Chiefs. But at least the Bengals can say they actually beat the Chiefs. But before we get into our game picks, Mahomes, I think Patrick Mahomes lost his mind. Patrick Mahomes said the Chiefs do not get special treatments from the refs. Mahomes, who you talking to, man? Who you think we not watching? But even if you wanted to reword it, Patrick Mahomes, if you don't get special treatments from the refs, y'all take advantage of the rule book. Y'all take advantage of the rules. You especially, Mahomes, because did not just last game, they threw a flag for two Texas players who ran into each other, where you was running, scrambling, clearly could have went out of bounds. You fake like you was going out of bounds, go back the other way behind your defenders and try to sneak a couple extra yards. And that's why the Texas players try to knock your head off. Don't miss me with that, Patrick. You look, I was not born yesterday. You ain't tricking me, dog. Y'all done got it. Go back and look at that list. Y'all done got a couple favorable calls, more than other players. I don't know who you think. Sean, who Patrick Mahomes think he fooling? Or do you agree with him?
I agree that they get a lot of favorable calls. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. That's a game from Ronnie Donnie. Who is Ronnie Donnie? I don't know who that is. But he said that's all you're gonna leave it at.
That's all I'm gonna leave it at that.
That's Sean. Know what he said. All right, Bills and Chiefs preview who you got and why. When they met early in the season, the Bills actually beat the Chiefs. It was in Buffalo, though. It wasn't an Arrowhead, so that does make a different dynamic. But who you got and why?
So since 2018, SB, only two teams have beaten the Chiefs twice in the same season. Can you guess those two teams?
One is the Cincinnati Bengals, right?
One is the Bengals, 2021.
And you said beat them twice, right? So they may have to beat them in the playoffs too.
In the same season, yes.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Tom Brady, right?
No, it was the Patriots in 2018.
Oh, Patriots. So what Tom beat them. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. The quote. So yeah. So it proves how difficult it is to beat the Chiefs twice in the same season. Obviously, you mentioned SB. This game is in Arrowhead. This Chiefs team understands the mission. They understand what they're attempting to do. I would say there are a couple things that, again, for me in this game will be the telltale. This game's going to be all about efficiency. Which one of these teams will make the big mistake? I think is a big question. But also looking forward to the matchup of Steve Spagnuolo. It's hard to beat a Spagnuolo defense twice, as we're talking about it. And also, to be very clear, the Bills are not the same team on the road they are at home. They have lost 4 games on the road season, and there were a couple of them. They did not look very good at all against Baltimore and against Houston specifically. And Josh Allen is not the same away from Buffalo as he is, on the road. So I do think this game will come down to efficiency. Can Buffalo stay on task? Meaning they want to be very balanced. They want to run the football. They want Josh Allen to manage the game. If Josh Allen starts pressing, things of that nature, could we see 1 or 2, mistakes there, from him? I think obviously Patrick Mahomes, we know what he tends to do in these situations, in these moments.
Lock in.
He's locked in. I think if you're Buffalo, obviously Travis Kelce is going to be a big part of your game plan. Are you going to use, Taron Johnson, your slot corner, on Kelce in certain situations? Are you going to ask your linebackers to run with him? No Taylor Rapp in this game for Buffalo. He's out, so they'll be using the backup at safety next to DeMar Hamlin. I think if you overcommit your resources to Travis Kelce, this could be one of those games that DeAndre Hopkins gets to eat a lot in the intermediate part of the field in particular. That said, I'm very hard-pressed to bet against Andy Reid and Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes at home. I'm taking the Chiefs at home by 4.
You made a lot of great points, Sean. And the one main point that you brought up, in which if this was in Buffalo, I probably would have picked the Bills. But it being in Arrowhead, and we talking about Patrick Mahomes, on his way to being the greatest quarterback of all time, that man not going to lose twice. And he's got a revenge game, and I hope the Bills, which I told you, get caught up in this rivalry, I know they possibly going to do, is try their best instead of just focusing on a win, try to make Josh Allen look good, try to compete with Patrick Mahomes. That's going to be a recipe for disaster because the Bills are going to have to take care of the ball the whole game. In Arrowhead, the Bills can't afford to make one mistake. For the Bills to win this game, they have to play darn near perfect. I'm sorry, darn near perfect, because in Arrowhead, you make a mistake, you might as well call it one. And I don't think the Bills, and especially how the Bills play on the road, I don't think they'll be able to recover. And it's Arrowhead, it's Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones on the other side. I can see this being a dominating performance to just seal the deal, because it seems storybook and feel with because I just see the writing on the wall when it comes to the NFL. Mahomes in all the Josh Allen talk, beat the MVP, then go 3P. It sounds like it's gonna happen. So I'm gonna go Chiefs. I can't see them losing at home, and it's hard to bet against the Chiefs. I gotta see it to believe that you beat the Chiefs at home in the conference championship game. I gotta have to see it. I think what was the last time they lost at home in the conference championship game was against the Bengals, right? Did the Bengals been home? Was it in Cincinnati? I'm trying to remember.
I think that game was in Cincinnati.
You think it was in Cincinnati? Probably so. It make more sense. The Chiefs not losing at home. I'm sorry, not in the playoffs, not right now. But I'm going Chiefs too, though. I'm going Chiefs. That has been another great episode of Real Takes Over Fake Debates. That's Pete Sean Webb. Episode 37. Who you got, Sean? I don't know about 37.
I got Sean Alexander.
Oh, elite pool. I like that. Sean Alexander. That's a pull right there. Number 37. Oh, okay. Yeah, I got one. Okay, I'm gonna go.
As we got breaking news. We got breaking news before we close.
Oh, breaking news. Okay, let's draw. Because I don't see it because my phone is on silent. Okay, let's drop the breaking news. Sean said we have breaking news coming up from the Real Takes Over Fake Debates Network. What is the breaking news, Sean?
Cowboys are hiring offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer as their new head coach.
Oh, my days. Jerry, you just can't get out the way, huh? Ooh, well, Cowboys fans, be prepared for another year. Another long year losing. Probably don't make the playoffs. Bro, Sean, this man just won't get out the way, bro. It's always his way or the highway. Even if he losing, still feel this way. Bro, Jerry crazy, bro. You want to grade that one?
I give it a grade of Jerry.
Jesus, man, dog. Jerry.
Yeah. He's okay.
That's all you can say. Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, there was reports yesterday. It came out that they were working on a contract, but obviously now it's been finalized. And Jerry Jones has spoken to ESPN. Jerry Jones' statement to ESPN says Brian Schottenheimer is known as a career assistant. He ain't Brian no more. He's now known as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Statement from Jerry Jones directly to ESPN.
Yeah, so pretty much I got another yes man at my head coaching position, and I don't want to change nothing. I just want to do everything my way. Yeesh. I have sometimes when you have to take a break from teams and leave teams, I would not be mad if any Cowboy fan would be like, you know what? I'm not a Cowboy fan right now. Hey, it's okay. I won't judge. Sometimes it's okay to take a break from teams. I'm sorry. It's okay to take that break from a team. I'm sorry. Just take the break. All right, man. And then also my number 37 is I'm going to go Ron Artest, Mr. Meta World Peace.
Meta World Peace. Good pull.
Yeah, good pull. On that note, we and Sean are getting up out of here. I feel sorry for you if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan. It's going to be another long season, especially now that Jaden Daniels is establishing himself. And you better hope not the Giants start figuring it out. Well, they can get rid of AGM first. But see you guys on the next one, and we are out of here. Peace.
Real Takes Over Fake Debates.